Good afternoon, and welcome to the afternoon session of the Landmarks Preservation Commission's public hearing and public meeting for September 9th, 2025. We're going to resume with public hearing item number 10, and I'll turn it over to Corey Harala.
Thank you. Public hearing item number 10 is LPC 26-00505, an application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Manhattan, Block 172, Lot 1. 364 to 366 Broadway in the Tribeca East Historic District. This is a Beaux-Arts-style office building designed by Frederick C. Brown and built in 1908 to 1909. The application is to construct a rooftop addition.
Now it's better. All right. The project is located at 366 Broadway, and we're located at the Tribeca East Historic District. As you can see from the map, where the property is located on Broadway between Broadway and Franklin, the corner building. A little bit of a background: the building is built in 1908, between 1908 and 1909. It's also known as the Broadway Textile Building, and it is, from my understanding, it's mostly residential of nature at this day and age. Just a little bit of a historic context here. The building is sectioned in three parts. There's a bottom base, a midsection, and the top two floor. Where the location of this addition is, and the addition is actually on the roof, but the client owns the top two floors facing Broadway and two bays facing Franklin. This is a roof plan, a demolition plan showing the partial demolition of the existing bulkhead. Some of the walls, so what we have here is an existing bulkhead with a shed roof. We're removing the shed roof and building in the same footprint, and then adding a mechanical room between the existing bulkhead and the elevator machine room, which is to the bottom of the screen. And this is the plan that we are proposing. So the gray area shows the existing footprint of the bulkhead. What we're doing is extending it up. We're removing that shed roof that's there, and we are enclosing it with windows on the north side and the west side. They're fixed windows, and on the south side we have sliding doors to allow for more air circulation within the floors, all the way to on the 12th and the 11th floor. And obviously we have this mechanical room, which extends out to the edge of the parapet and aligns with the elevator machine room to the bottom, so that it's consistent. And you'll see it in the renderings as well. So these are the renderings. As you can see from this blow-up kitchen of the rendering of the picture, we see that how everything is aligned. The mechanical room is built out of obviously stud walls and full brick to match the existing facade, the north side facade, and I do have the specs of the brick that's been approved already by Landmark for this building in the appendix, all the way at the bottom of the presentation. And as you can see from the rendering, that you do see the partial extension, vertical extension of the bulkhead with the overhang and the windows. These two elevations on the left side, you have the existing elevation showing the shed roof, and on the right side we have the proposed elevation, and you can see the sort of triangular piece, that's visible from the street. This is the east elevation. Again, on the existing elevation, it's on the left, and the proposed elevation is on the right. Again, showing the brick facade of the mechanical room. This is the right side elevation, which is on the north side, existing on the left and proposed on the right. And again, a south elevation, existing south elevation on the left, and the existing proposed south elevation on the right. Again, showing the sliding doors and the overhang. This slide shows the proposed elevation with sidelines, showing it from White Street, the opposite side of the north side of White Street, and Franklin Street. And as you can see, that how visible it is, and you saw it in the renderings as well. These are some more blow up of the elevations of the north side on the top, and the west side, the west elevation on the bottom. These 3D images show the existing volume bulkhead with the shed roof on the left and the proposed on the right. And as you can see from this, how everything will be tied into the existing elevator machine room of the building, and everything will match. By doing this, we will minimize the sort of the bulkiness of the addition and the mechanical room and the project. This 3D view shows again existing on the left and proposed on the right. These are some sections of the proposed bulkhead. And to the right, we see a small detail of the overhang showing a aluminum coping, of this rigid insulation, and some wood slats on in the soffit. In this slide, we have a proposed roof and bulkhead mock-up plan, and you will see it in the pictures here. We took this picture. Unfortunately, there was this scaffolding on one of the adjacent buildings, but you pretty much get the idea, and you can sort of see it with the blow-up image on the right. These are some additional images of the proposed mock-up. And just some additional images from Worth Street, which is a little bit further down, a couple blocks away from the property. And this is the front of the building. This slide shows a precedent that was approved, I believe, I'm not sure how many years ago or when this was built, but this is a sort of a precedent of something that was already approved, just to show that within the same district, the historic district, this has been allowed, with some glass shown from the streets. And here are some, the appendix A, some details and window size, and some images of what we're looking to do for the overhang, the wood slats, aluminum coping. And this is the brick that was actually approved by the board, the Shrewsbury Glengarry. Okay.
Thank you. Commissioners, do we have any questions? Commissioner Chu and then Commissioner Goldblum.
Do you mind going to slide 12? So the new volume there that your mouse was on, the mechanical, is that the mechanical?
Yes,
That's new brick to match the existing party
Correct.
wall brick?
that's correct.
Could you push that wall back to be in line with the brick that's already there below the windows, which is a brick wall too? That's a brick wall there, right?
This one here is
Yeah.
actually a stucco wall at the moment.
Rendering shows it as brick.
No, this is existing is right here.
I guess the
We're
question is-
proposing brick, yes.
Yeah.
We're
The que-
proposing new brick, yes.
Yeah, the question is, can you just make that in line? Is that a challenge for you to do that?
No, we had it that way, and it was brought up actually from the community board and from the preservationists that it would be good to actually do this so that it blends in with the bulkhead that's already there for the elevator machine room. So it becomes almost as if it was already part of the building.
I guess that's an interpretation difference. I see it as altering the existing condition.
That's what I
Yeah,
had it that way
Yeah,
prior,
yeah.
and then we
it's just an interesting point because to me, it falsely makes the building feel like it's got this upper piece and
Mhm. Mhm.
ass on the box than not. Okay, so you could move it back and that's something you had studied already.
Yes, that's correct.
When you did your mock-up, the mock-up that you used to show the visibility, did it include the overhang or it did not include the
It
overhang?
did not include the overhang, no.
So the overhang would make it a little bit more visible.
That is correct.
What is the purpose for that overhang?
The overhang is really more of for more of an energy conservation type of architectural move, so that because this is facing south and west, I wouldn't want to have too much light going into the stairwell and also having glass on three sides. Not so much on the north, obviously, but on the south and west, there's a lot of light coming in. The room gets extremely hot, and
So who's forcing you to put all that glass in?
but I think it's just to show a lighter structure there, and
Okay.
yeah, to minimize the sunlight going into the stairwell, but still allowing light in.
Thanks.
Okay, commissioners, any other questions? Okay, let's move to public testimony. Is there anyone in this room that would like to speak on this item? Noting that there isn't, I'll turn it over to Stephen Thompson.
Those joining us via Zoom who wish to offer testimony, please use the raise hand function. Right. Seeing none, I will note for the record that Manhattan Community Board 1 recommends denial.
Okay, commissioners, any other questions? Okay, let's close the hearing. Commissioner Mahan, will you make a motion to close this hearing?
So moved.
Commissioner Chen, would you second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the hearing is closed. Corey, would you like to say something?
Sure. I'll just note that the Tribeca East Historic District is really characterized by a predominance of more mid to late 19th century store and loft buildings, cast iron or masonry facades, but also the later taller office buildings and other and whatnot are also part of the significance of this district. So while we don't see as many of these larger buildings and applications in this district, I do think sort of regardless of the building type and size and style, the commission does have a history of approving visible rooftop additions, certainly over secondary facades and sometimes even over primary facades, although granted to a more limited degree. So as has been noted, the suggestion of whether or not to make part of this addition look like an existing bulkhead or not is something that's often discussed and has resulted in a variety of solutions.
Thank you. Commissioner Wilder, would you like to start this discussion?
So my initial thoughts were obviously what's the use of the roof and the purpose of the kind of glass enclosure for the bulkhead, which I think the overhang was also another question, which I think if you didn't have the glass, you wouldn't need the overhang for the purposes of why it was needed. And I think it may draw more attention with the glass, especially if it's at night. Is it illuminated at night? So I think I'm okay with the volume and the idea behind it, but more so the material choice. I'm not sure if it's necessary for it to be glass and with the overhang. I think it brings a lot of attention there.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Ikumbe?
Yes, to follow up with what Commissioner Wilder was speaking on. I don't oppose of changing the bulkhead out, and then also creating another mechanical space. If it's necessary, it's necessary. But I would reiterate that the detailing and the use of the materials for the area, I would like further exploration of it, and I'm sure that the staff can.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Chu?
Generally, I'm in favor of an addition of a minor mass up here because the building is quite austere. It does have a very strong rectangular form and a relatively clean rooftop. I do think that a couple moves could make this proposed roof addition less of an impact. And I personally feel that if you move that wall back to the face of the addition piece and look at the street level views, it significantly reduces the mass of that element by setting it back off the parapet. I also just like the idea that existing vertical piece in the original building really was a minor part, and the horizontality of that coping was really strong, and I'd rather not change that. So my feelings are, if the wall could move back, it would reduce the mass in view significantly. And I do think that the applicant can work with staff on reducing the overhang, which I think is too extreme. At one point, I think it even gets close to 4 feet, and it's not necessary for a bulkhead condition. So I just like the applicant to work with staff on reducing the scale.
Commissioner Chu, are you suggesting that in setting back the wall, they would continue to use masonry or would use the material?
Masonry is fine. The brick is fine. It's just the mass and its location would be pushed back in line.
Okay. And were you okay with the glass and the material?
My issue isn't the material choice.
Okay.
My issue is the amount of mass being shown, and the overhang is too much.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Goldblum?
I agree with previous comments. I think that the suggestions made to reduce the impact are advisable.
Thank you. Commissioner Mahan?
I also agree with Commissioner Chu's comments.
Commissioner Chen?
Same here.
And Commissioner Ginsburg?
I find what's proposed acceptable and appropriate. It's a small addition on a large building that's only visible from a distance, and so I don't have a problem with this, but I realize I'm probably in a minority on this one.
Thank you. Commissioner Chu, would you feel comfortable no, Commissioner, actually, who was reading it? Was it Commissioner Wilder? Uh, uh, would you want to read it, incorporating a study, restudying the material with applicant looking at the material, again with staff, and then potentially working with staff to set back to reduce the impact of the visibility and the overhang, and resetting the overhang. So, yeah. Oh.
In the matter of LPC -26-00505, 364-366 Broadway, Tribeca East Historic District. I note that the building style, scale, materials, and details are among the features that contribute to the special architectural and historic character of Tribeca East Historic District. That the proposed work will not damage or eliminate any significant architectural features. That the addition will only be minimally visible from the west at a distance over the primary facade as viewed from the north over the secondary undeveloped side facade will be in keeping with the scale and design of other visible rooftop additions found on buildings in historic district. That a portion of the addition will align with and match the brick sidewall of the existing bulkhead to the east.
Commissioner Wilder, sorry to interrupt. I think for this finding, we can find that the overall composition will not call undue attention to itself at the roof line, the last portion of that finding.
Okay.
Some of the
Find
changes
that-
required were different than what that said.
Yeah, thank you. That the overall composition will not call undue attention to itself at the roof line, and that the work will not detract from the special architectural or historic character of Tribeca East Historic District. You also find that the applicant should work with staff regarding the setting back the wall of the mechanical room, as well as the material choice of the bulkhead and the overhang,
And to reduce the overhang.
and to reduce the size of the overhang.
Thank you. Commissioner Chu, would you second that?
Okay.
Thank you. And Mark, will you call the vote?
Vice Chair Master,
Aye.
Ben,
Aye.
Commissioner Chu,
Aye.
Ginsburg.
Aye.
Commissioner Goldblum.
Aye.
Commissioner Quimby.
Aye.
Commissioner
Aye.
Wilder.
Aye, excuse me.
8 in favor and none opposed, the motion passed.
Thank you. That's approved. We can move to our next item.
Next item is public hearing item number 11. LPC 26-01553, an application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Manhattan, Block 483, Lot 17, 524 Broadway in the Soho Cast Iron Historic District. This is a store and loft building designed by Arthur H. Bowditch and built in 1901 to 03. The application is to modify the entrance canopy and install signage.
Great. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Julie Rosen from Higgins Quaisbarth and Partners. We're the preservation consultants on the project. I'm joined today by Lisa Ewing from Lululemon, as well as on Zoom by my colleague Sarah Ripple, as well as Melissa Price from Jones Sign. As Corey mentioned, 524 Broadway is a store and loft building constructed in 1903. It's located in the Soho Cast Iron Historic District at the southeast corner of Broadway and Prince Street. As you can see in this enlarged map on the right here, it is a through block building from Broadway through to Crosby, quite long, but also narrow with only 3 bays fronting onto Broadway. As you can see in this photo, this is a mixed use building. There's retail and restaurant use on the ground floor and the second floor, and then there are offices above. Both the retail and the office entrances are both located on Broadway. Lululemon has leased the ground floor and the second floor retail space, so it's quite a lot of square footage in the building. The store is going to be a new flagship location for the company opening this fall. We have an existing view of the Broadway frontage on the left here with a rendered view of our proposal on the right. As I mentioned, the office entrance is also on Broadway. It's located in the southernmost bay here with this decorative surround, and then the retail entrance is in the center bay here. The existing canopy, signage, and flagpoles and flags that you see in this image were all previously approved by the commission in the late 90s, and the signage has been changed out for different tenants over the years. The proposal before you today is limited to canopy and signage changes at the main retail entry. There are two specific items for the commission level review today. The first is recladding the existing canopy structure, and then the second is installing a halo lit sign on the face of the canopy. The flags that you see are being reviewed at staff level because those are being installed on existing flagpoles. The project has been designed to address much needed visibility for Lululemon as they enter this new retail space. This is the only entrance to the retail space. As I mentioned, it's a lot of square footage, so the scope of work is incredibly important for legibility, visibility, and wayfinding, particularly from up and down Broadway, where there's a lot of retail activity, and also for anyone approaching from the west. The height of the new canopy cladding has been designed to mimic the height of the transom bar at the entrance doors behind. This allows the installation to be well scaled to the building, for the signage to also be well scaled in relation to the canopy, and it will continue to remain deferential to the main historic building entrance and its architectural details. There will also not be any impact to historic fabric, as our proposal only seeks to modify a non-historic commission-approved canopy. These are just some photos of the pre-work conditions, just the state of the retail entrance when the prior tenant was still in place. Again, the two flagpoles, a contemporary canopy with glass panels and dimensional signage. The prior signage was really not very legible, particularly for a main entrance, and so we are seeking to improve upon that. And then we have some additional photos now that Lululemon has begun their work and the prior signage has been removed. So these photos show that current condition of the canopy, the steel structure, the tiebacks into the storefront infill. The canopy is now almost 30 years old. We're seeing some degradation, some rusting in the steel. There's also a lot of soiling of the glass panels. And so our proposed scope of work will address some of these issues and again, improve on the aesthetics and the visibility for the new tenant. We also wanted to look at the surrounding context around 524 Broadway. Broadway is, of course, a very active retail street. There's a wide variety of signage types on the street, scales, colors, all used for identification and wayfinding for the various retailers. And this includes projecting signs like flags, banners, as well as illuminated signage and canopies. And our proposal is in keeping with the character and the type of signage within the district, specifically on Broadway. We always find it interesting to look back in time. We see a long history of retailers in Soho advertising their goods with a variety of signage types. This is a 1937 view looking south on Broadway and just reinforces the amount of signage that was historically present on the thoroughfare, as well as the importance of visible signage. And then at 524 Broadway specifically, there were large panel signs and flagpoles historically used on the Broadway elevation to indicate the commercial tenancy in the building, apart from what was happening on the floors above. Along Broadway in the historic district, we did identify a wide variety of canopy designs, canopy glazing types, and signage treatments on Broadway. We see signage on top of canopies, as panel signs on the face of canopies, really a wide variety of signage that we feel that our proposal fits into. And again, the commission has found all of these installations appropriate over the years. LPC's also approved a variety of illuminated signage along Broadway in particular, and we just have a selection of those past approvals here. I did want to clarify that staff can now approve halo lit signage, and so this Arc'teryx example, which is just up the street from 524 Broadway, was actually approved at staff level, and this type of signage is what we're seeking for our project. So getting into some of the details, and I'm happy to come back to these if anyone has questions. We are proposing new aluminum cladding around the perimeter of the existing canopy structure. And then there will be one sign that's installed on the face of the new cladding facing onto Broadway. The cladding itself will be 12 inches tall. The sign will be 10 inches tall, and that's with the intent of leaving a little bit of breathing room around the sign. The cladding itself will be black to match the existing canopy, so we're not looking to really change the aesthetic there. And then the sign faces themselves will be white to provide a little bit of contrast against the black cladding. The letters and the logo will all be individually mounted, and then the sign will be halo lit. The intent is to create a little bit of a backlit glow for the signage to make it more visible during the evening hours. And all of the attachments, conduits, and light bulbs will of course be concealed from view within the canopy structure. This particular installation, I just wanted to clarify, it's being it's being considered as part of the larger canopy modifications, but the specific type of signage illumination is actually approvable by staff. I also wanted to note that what we are presenting to you today is a refined and reduced proposal from our original design. So the new cladding and the signage had both been scaled down by 25% in response to staff comments. So when we presented this project to the community board in August, we were showing 16-inch cladding with a 14-inch letter and logo. And since then, we've been working very closely with staff to reduce the scale and the proportions of our installation. And then some additional details for the canopy modifications. Again, there will be new aluminum channels that will be mechanically attached to the perimeter of the existing canopy frame. They do need to be offset just a couple of inches from the existing structure to allow for proper drainage. That's something the team has really been looking at closely, but there are no structural changes required. So there's not going to be any impact to the existing tiebacks or any impact to the historic fabric. The new cladding will allow the existing canopy to be upgraded and to just have a little bit more presence at the entrance for this new flagship location. And again, will allow the signage to be more visible. We are also proposing to install new grayscale translucent film at the 5 clear glazed panels at the top of the canopy. We installed a mock-up, which you can see here. It will still allow for some light transmission through the canopy, but will hide all of that kind of debris that accumulates throughout the days and weeks. So as we wrap up here, we did want to show you the proposal within the larger context of the building base. As I mentioned, this is the only entrance to a very large retail space, so the signage scope is intended to provide visibility while still being modestly scaled in relation to the overall scale of the building. And finally, a closer look at the proposal, which we feel is consistent with other LPC approvals in the historic district, particularly on Broadway. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Commissioners, do we have any questions? Commissioner Ginsburg?
This is for staff. Is the flag part of this or is that not? That's what
It is not. It's an existing flagpole that it's
Thank you.
allowed to be used, and it's just being hung with a new flag.
Any other questions? Okay. Commissioner Chu?
Yes, yes. The drainage, and I may need to have, I don't know if Lisa, if you can answer that, or I can also have Melissa chime in. But yes, the canopy is pitched. There is an opening here, a 2-inch gap where the water will be able to drain, and that is on all sides. I believe it will just drop down to the ground, yes. Mhm. Right, and you're not changing the way that the canopy works. Again, this is just cladding the existing canopy and kind of working with the existing systems.
Okay, any other questions? Okay. Is there anybody here who would like to speak on this item? Noting that there is not, let me turn it over to Stephen Thompson for remote testimony.
Those joining us via Zoom who wish to offer testimony, please use the raise hand function. Seeing none, I will note for the record that Manhattan Community Board 2 recommends approval.
Thank you. Any last minute questions? No, so let's close the hearing. Commissioner Goldblum, would you make a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Commissioner Chu, would you second that motion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The hearing is closed. Corey, would you like to say something?
Yeah, just a few notes. So the staff level rules don't allow for any marquees or canopies to be approved that aren't restorative based on known conditions. So any of them that you see were either approved by the commission, were there before time of designation, or are historic. And similarly, the staff level rules don't really consider marquees to be signage, traditional signage locations. So even when you've seen some examples of other similar installations, it's generally because the commission already approved the marquee or the presence of signage on the end of a marquee. And then we may have then applied rules kind of from that point on. So I think, there's been some examples shown of marquees or canopies on Broadway. I would not say there's a proliferation of them. And some of those that I think were shown are not necessarily the same as this one. But nonetheless, what you'll be looking at today is both the alteration to the existing commission-approved marquee, which at the time there was a finding that it would be well integrated into the composition of the Broadway facade. And that's all that was said about it. But as you could see, it was kind of a thin, streamlined design that didn't have as much presence. And part of this application seeks to add a little bit more presence to it, I think, clean it up, rightfully so, and then also to add the signage on the end of it. So I just wanted to make the distinction, the staff level rules do support and allow for illuminated signage. But generally speaking, that's kind of within an opening at a sign band. So there's not as many examples of this where it's sticking out into the street a little bit further with a few exceptions.
Thank you. Commissioner Mayen, would you like to start this discussion?
I'd have to. The clarifications that that Corey made are all quite helpful. So it sounds like we don't typically see this precise combination of elements with the signage at the end of the marquee, illuminated, its dimension and so forth. That being said, the marquee is existing and approved by the commission previously. This proposal does increase its presence, but I would say that it does so in a reasonable manner. Its proportions relate to the proportions of the storefront black metal detailing from which it extends. Particularly matching the transom dimension, but also I think proportional to the header and the other elements of the storefront. I find the signage to be well scaled to the canopy and acceptable. Given the scale of the store as well as the the condition of retail signage in a variety of applications up and down Broadway to be appropriate. So I can certainly find this appropriate.
Thank you. Commissioner Chen?
That this is in this sense, very limited in scope for us. And I think that Commissioner may have said correct. Given the context.
Thank you. Commissioner Ginsburg?
I agree, appropriate.
Thank you. Commissioner Wilder?
I think it's appropriate.
Commissioner Ikumbe?
Find it appropriate as well.
Commissioner Chu?
Appropriate.
And Commissioner Goldblum?
I agree. They're lucky that those flags are grandfathered.
Okay. Okay. Commissioner Mayen, would you like to read that motion?
Certainly. Regarding LPC 26-01553, 524 Broadway, Soho Cast Iron Historic District. The application is to modify the entrance canopy and install signage. I note that the building style, scale, materials, and details are among the features that contribute to the special architectural and historic character of the Soho Cast Iron Historic District. I recommend approval, finding that the proposed work will be limited to a commission-approved entrance canopy and therefore will not damage or obscure any significant architectural features. That the proposed installation of profiled black finished metal fascias on 3 sides of the canopy will enhance its presence without competing with the ornamentation and primacy of the historic main entrance at the southernmost bay, that the proposed signage at the canopy limited to halo-lit white painted acrylic letters and a logo will be well scaled to the marquee and facade, and in combination with the flagpoles will not be excessive. That the installation of a grayscale translucent film to the glazing at the underside of the canopy will be reversible and will be consistent with the use of translucent films at select areas of storefront glazing throughout the building and streetscape, and that the proposed work will not detract from the special architectural and historic character of the building or the streetscape.
Thank you. Commissioner Chen, would you second that?
Second.
Thank you. Mark, can you call the vote?
Vice Chair Master,
Aye.
Commissioner Chen,
Aye.
Commissioner Yu,
Aye.
Commissioner Ginsburg,
Aye.
Commissioner Goldblum.
Aye.
Commissioner Quembe,
Aye.
Commissioner Mann,
Aye.
Wilder.
Aye.
8 in favor and none opposed. The motion passes.
Great. That's approved. Thank you. We'll move on to our next item.
Next item is public hearing item number 12, LPC 26-00814, an application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Manhattan, Block 488, Lot 25, 392 West Broadway in the Soho Cast Iron Historic District Extension. This is an Italianate-style store and loft building designed by John H. Whitenack and built in 1872 to 73. And the application is to establish a master plan governing the future installation of painted wall signs.
Hello, Commissioners and Landmark staff. Thank you for hearing this application this afternoon. My name is Jackie Pudu-Vallon, JPD Preservation Consulting. This is 392 West Broadway. It stands on the west side of the street between Broome and Spring Streets. The proposal is for a master plan for painted wall signs on the north lot line wall. This building has long had a large painted wall sign on that lot line wall. On the left, you can see the 1940s tax photo, which shows a sign for the steel company that had been in the building. In the middle is the 2009 designation photo, where there was already a sign for the commercial tenant in place. And on the right is the current condition. So that same grandfathered sign is still there. It's for 7 for All Mankind. Here are additional photos of the wall, just zooming in. As you can see, the paint has started to peel on the wall. Here's a render of the proposed sign. Now, the reasons why this sign has to be reviewed at hearing are because of its size, its proximity to other LPC-approved painted wall signs that are directly across the street, its distance from the front facade, and its lack of a border. The reason for its placement and size is because it would be covering the area of the existing grandfathered sign. The criteria for the proposed sign would be, as you see listed here. The sign content would be limited to its approved square footage, no regulation of content, a 10-year term. The square feet of the sign would be approximately 837 square feet, and the sign area would be approximately 44.94% of the visible portion of the wall. You can see the location of the sign on this proposed elevation drawing. The lighter orange area is showing you the most visible portion of the lot line wall as viewed from the street. Unfortunately, the resolution of the drawing gets a little fuzzy to read here, but it is showing a sign that is 29 feet 8 inches high, 28 feet 7 inches wide, and set back 1 foot from the facade. Here you can see the current condition on the left and the proposed condition in a photo montage on the right. There is precedent within this district for large painted signs that act as both artwork and advertising for the commercial tenant within the building. On the left is the mural at 450 West Broadway for the Lammy store, and on the right is the mural for Metropolitan Lumber and Hardware at 175 Spring. Here are painted wall signs that were approved by LPC and are across the street from our subject building. These are 399 West Broadway and 393 West Broadway. Looking south on West Broadway from Spring Street, the approved sign at 393 West Broadway is visible in conjunction with the north lot line wall of 392. 392 is highlighted here with the red arrow. So on the left is a photo taken from the northeast corner of West Broadway in Spring, looking south, And on the right is the same photo with the proposed sign rendered in. Again, looking south on West Broadway from Spring Street, this time from the northwest corner, you can see the existing sign at 393 and the proposed sign at 392. For context, here are additional approved painted wall signs on West Broadway. These are at 365 and 359 West Broadway. Here's a map to remind commissioners that a number of painted wall sign master plans have been approved in the Soho Cast Iron Historic District and in the district extension. On the map, the red star indicates the location of our proposed sign, and the blue star indicates the location of the sign across the street, across the street at 393. Lastly, I'd like to also remind commissioners that there is precedent within this district, within Soho Cast Iron Historic District, for painted wall sign master plan approvals that are within close proximity to each other and are visible within close proximity. Here on the left is a photo of 55 Worcester and 475 West Broadway, and on the right is a photo of 105 Spring Street and 107 Spring Street next to it on the corner. So to conclude, I'd like to ask commissioners to consider the size of the existing grandfathered sign and the precedents within the district for closely located signs while deliberating this application. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, do we have any questions? Commissioner Chu and Commissioner Ginsburg.
What is our standard rules for percentage of coverage over visible masonry?
It's 20%.
So would this be considered the visible facade of the party wall, and that per those rules, the ad would be 20% of that?
Maybe Jackie, I'm not sure if there's an architectural drawing that
Yeah.
shows that maximum coverage, but I think that photo is somewhat close to it.
Sorry, taking a minute. So the sort of hatched in lighter area indicates the visible portion of the wall from the street.
And what is the percentage of the proposed sign?
It would be about 40, almost 45% of that visible portion of the wall.
So you're asking for essentially 2 times the standard allotment.
That's right.
of coverage.
Correct, because what they'd like to do is maintain the size that they currently have with their sign that was there before designation, installed before designation.
And the other thing is, do we, Corey, have standard setbacks from the rooftop or from the front facade?
Definitely from the front facade, it's a minimum of 3 feet. I'm not sure. I'm not
Right.
sure it prescribes a setback, a specific number setback from the top, but that is typical to also provide some setback from the top of the parapet.
And the rendering, could you just go back, sorry? Doesn't have a border either, which is something we
Correct.
typically. So can you explain why you go beyond all those standard rules that we have?
It's a
What's-
totally fair question.
Yeah.
It's because the commercial tenant, which is 7 for All Mankind, they want to maintain the size of the sign that they currently have. Unfortunately, that sign is so old. It's, the paint is peeling, and they'd like to be able to install new signage within the footprint of their existing sign.
That's their sign there now.
Yes.
Well, I think for us, and one thing is just as a comment, is that a lot of the older signs were X-based, or they somehow showed the wall or the fabric of material.
Mhm.
Or they allowed the brick to show through text somehow. And to me, the impact is just full saturation, full cover, and tends to detract from the facade. So I
Okay.
just wanted to know
I've-
what.
Got
ahead.
questions.
Commissioner Ginsburg.
So the existing sign there, which I zoomed in, looks like it has a weave pattern over the entire wall
Mhm.
and then 7 for Mankind in a much smaller area.
Yes.
And they didn't want to restore that existing sign.
They want to be able to show their fashion within the sign. They want to be able to do something
And will the
different.
sign then change so it won't always look like what they're showing there now?
Yes.
Okay. The other question, you showed other examples of signage tied to the commercial use in the building, where this signage is much more visually tied to the commercial use. But you were showing that because I wasn't clear at the beginning that it was for that thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions? Okay. Is there anybody here who would like to speak on this item?
Press the button.
Thank-
Is it on or off? Yes. Okay. Good afternoon, Commissioners. John Graham for the Victorian Society in New York. The applicant has provided a photo taken in 2009 showing the existing painted wall sign, 7 for All Mankind, was in place when the Soho Cast Iron Historic District extension was designated in 2010. It's therefore grandfathered, but as the rules clearly state, when grandfathered items are removed or significantly altered, they lose their protected status. We do not feel it is an undue burden to require that any new painted wall sign in this location follow the Commission's rules. These include providing the sign with a black or white solid painted border, at least 2 inches wide, setting the sign back from the primary facade a minimum of 3 feet, and installing a sign which will occupy no more than 20% of the visible wall area. I will note that many of the pictures the applicant has provided of approved wall sign follow the Commission rules with a border and with the setbacks, including the ones, I believe, at 393 and 399 directly across the street. The proposal in front of you meets none of these requirements. The most serious deviation is the size of the sign. This sign would cover over twice the area the rules allow. This sign must not be approved. The applicant should work with staff on a design that meets the rules, which can then receive a staff-level permit, except possibly for the master plan proposal. Sorry about that. Finally, we maintain our previously stated opinion that photorealistic wall signs are incompatible with the overall character of districts where 19th century buildings are predominant. From the distance at which they're viewed, the claimed painterly quality is not evident. Thank you very much, Commissioners.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to speak on this item? Noting that there is not, I will turn it over to Stephen Thompson.
Those joining us via Zoom who wish to offer testimony, please use the raise hand function. Our first speaker will be Kaylee Johnson. I'll be promoting you to panelists, after which we ask you to unmute yourself, state your name for the record, and you will have 3 minutes to speak.
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Kaylee Johnson with the Historic Districts Council. HDC finds this proposal to be inappropriate. We think that the applicant should adhere to the rules and guidelines for a staff-level approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else joining us via Zoom who wishes to speak, please use the raise hand function. All right, seeing none, I'll note for the record that Manhattan Community Board 2 recommends approval.
Okay. Would the applicant like to address any of the comments?
Yes, thank you. Only to reiterate that because of the proximity to the sign across the street, we're not eligible for a staff level approval here. Secondly, even historically, even the sign that was there in the early 20th century, that sign was a very large sign, granted not as large as what we're proposing today, but still a very large sign, and also much closer to the front facade than 3 feet. To me in the photo, it looks like it's 1 foot. And yes, we understand that we're asking for a sign that's larger than what's usually approved for these master plans. But again, the commercial tenant feels strongly that they've had a sign this large for a couple of decades, and they want to be able to continue with that same area. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, any last minute questions? Any final questions? Okay. Let's close the hearing. Commissioner Ikumbe, would you make a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Commissioner Wilder, would you second that?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the hearing is closed. Corey, would you like to?
Sure. I think as has been noted a couple of times now, there are several aspects of this master plan proposal that don't meet the staff level rules, such as the coverage and the setbacks and the lack of the border. But as Jackie correctly noted, even if those were to be adjusted or changed to meet the staff level rules, the fact that this would be the second painted wall sign master plan, visible in one view shed means that the applicant could not get a staff level permit for it. So regardless, this does have to be reviewed for that reason alone, if not for the others. And I would say it is uncommon. We haven't had many instances yet of seeing two at the same time, but again, as the applicant did show, it's there are at least one or two cases, and you all can assess whether or not the proximity deems it appropriate or not. The other thing I'll note is there, the master plan rule for painted wall signs is rather recent. Just a couple of years now that's been intact, and it really did represent kind of the culmination of various commission approvals and discussions where yes, the painterly quality of painted signs sort of was more important and than the actual content itself, which was very difficult to regulate in a consistent way. So that's something that is definitely part of the current rule for that reason, if not for others. But also the setbacks and the borders and things like that, kind of in exchange for the ability to regularly rotate these signs and to have this unlimited content, it at least kind of gave a little bit of breathing room to the particular front facades of buildings. So I think there was sort of a trade-off in that discussion in terms of how it originated. Of course, there are other sort of one-off signs that the commission has seen over the years and approved that may vary from those standards, but by and large, a great many of them do sort of follow the rules, if you will, in terms of those other characteristics.
Commissioner Ginsburg, would you like to start this?
Yes.
Would you like to start this discussion?
Okay, I will. And I see two options here. Option one is the existing sign, which is as much artwork as a sign, because the sign is a small part of it and the rest of it is an abstract pattern, could be restored. I think that would be quite nice. Or option two, a proposal that complies with our standards could be submitted. Now, I would add to that, if the 20%, if you do 20%, but you wanted it 1 foot from the facade or something like that, a minor deviation, I think we could consider that. But I think the 20%, the borders, and in general, the 3 feet from the facade should be done if it's going to be some sort of photorealistic image, whether it's consistent or changed with the name of the company. So I think we can approve us, I can approve at least, we'll see what the other commissioners say, doing a sign that complies with our standards, or you can go back and restore the existing sign.
Thank you. Commissioner Chen?
In general, I think the applicant should by LPC rules of the setback from the top as well from the roof line, as well as the white border, and so I think have options and let's see what.
Thank you. Commissioner Mahan?
I understand that given the proximity of another sign, it puts the applicant into a public hearing, and therefore perhaps the standards that have been referred to here don't apply. But even reviewed upon its own merits, I find it to be just much too overwhelming to the architecture of the building as well as the neighborhood. And I think abiding by the staff rules, which would otherwise apply, would be a good place to start, and it would still need to be reviewed because of its proximity to the adjacent sign across the street. I think the content needs to be relative to abiding by these rules needs to be weighed carefully, as I understand from what was just said by staff. There's a kind of trade-off between not reviewing content and then having setbacks, borders, and so forth. There was a reference made in the presentation to precedents which walked a fine line between our being artistic and advertising, which when this proposal, is then shared after that is frankly just disingenuous.
Thank you. Commissioner Goldblum?
Yeah, you can't have your cake and eat it too. If you want a new sign, it should comply with the rules to the extent that they can in terms of building coverage, placement, borders, etc. I think that the proximity to other signs is acceptable, but otherwise stick with the rules.
Thank you. Commissioner Chu?
Yeah, I tend to agree with everything that's been said in Mark's statement. I actually find the historic approach quite handsome. But because I understand the applicant wants to go with a more photorealistic, saturated color image, I think they should abide by our rules, and the fact that it is in proximity to another sign, even more reason to abide by the rules.
Thank you. Commissioner Kumbe?
I'm following behind what has been said by my fellow commissioner. Parameters that are set.
Thank you. Commissioner Wilder?
Yeah, I agree as well. I just don't find enough reasons to deviate from the LPC standards. I actually think it could still be impactful if this is the direction they want to go with following those standards that are in place.
Thank you. Let me ask, Mark had actually also gave them an option of restoring the existing sign. Are you guys okay with that? No. Are you, Commissioner Mayen, were you?
Staff.
Oh.
Yeah, just to clarify,
Okay.
because it exists, if they were just to touch it up and maintain it, that would be a staff permit.
Okay.
Should I do the approval with the modifications so they?
Yeah,
can go
yeah,
ahead?
yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
With regards to LPC 26-00814, 392 West Broadway, Soho Cast Iron Historic District Extension, an Italianate-style store and loft building designed by John H. Whitenack and built in 1872-73. Application is to establish a master plan governing the future installation of painted wall signs. I note that the building style, scale, materials, and details are among the features that contribute to the special architectural and historic character of the Soho Cast Iron Historic District Extension. I recommend approval with modifications, finding that the proposed painted wall sign will be located in an undeveloped secondary facade and will not obscure or damage any significant architectural features. That the historic precedent exists for painted signage on the secondary facade as evidenced by the existing sign and historic photographs of the building. That the painted wall signs are a traditional method of advertising that was historically found in the historic districts, typically on plain secondary facades with exposed common brick masonry, and the painted application of the proposed sign will be in keeping with those traditional application methods. That a painted wall sign at the location, when seen in conjunction with the existing sign at 391, 393 West Broadway from points north on West Broadway, will not cumulatively detract from the streetscape. And that the proposed master plan will be valid for a period of 10 years, and the applicant will document each sign approved under the master plan so there'll be a record of commission can consider when reviewing the effectiveness of the master plan criteria. However, I find that the placement of the sign immediately abutting the primary facade and roof line is less than the setback typically required by the commission for painted wall signs and will detract from the significant architectural features of the primary facade. That the wall sign will cover approximately 45% of the visible wall surface a coverage percentage that is significantly more than prior commission approvals and will visually detract from the significant features of the front facade and neighboring buildings, and that the sign will not include a solid painted border, which is typical of historic signs and commission-approved wall signs. Therefore, I recommend that the sign be set back from the primary facade by 3 feet and below the roof line by 2 feet, and reduced in size to not exceed 20% of the visible wall surface, and that a black or white solid painted border of at least 2 inches wide, which contrasts with the background color of the sign, be added to the proposal.
Thank you. Commissioner Mayen, will you second that motion?
Second.
Thanks. Mark, will you call the vote?
Vice Chair Master,
Aye.
Commissioner Chen,
Aye.
Commissioner Chu,
Aye.
Commissioner Ginsburg, Commissioner Goldblum, Commissioner Kemble,
Aye.
Commissioner Mann,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilder.
Aye.
With 8 in favor and none opposed, the motion passes.
Okay, that's approved. Thank you. Let's move to our next item.
All right, it's the next and final item of the day, public hearing item number 13, LPC 25-12746, an application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Manhattan, Block 619, Lot 56, 208 West 10th Street in the Greenwich Village Historic District. This is an apartment house designed by Charles B. Myers and built in 1911. The application is to modify the base of the building and install a new storefront.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Mary Dierix, and I'm the preservation consultant for the project. The architect, Joseph Wasserman, is on Zoom. He is architectco@gmail.com. And would be there if he can get on the Zoom. He's just here to answer questions. Robert Chada is here as a representative of ownership. He's with me here. The building is in the village on West 10th Street. And it's just one building east of Bleecker Street. This is a commercial area, and West 10th Street has a lot of storefronts between Bleecker and West 4th. The building, our building is by the red arrow at the top. The proposal is to create a new storefront opening on one side. There's already a storefront on the other side. The building is the beige brick apartment house to the right of the red brick building. It was built in 1911 and designed by Charles B. Myers. The red brick building, 204 to 206, was also designed by the same architect and built by the same developer the year before. Both buildings have had one storefront at the right-hand side for all of their lives. I think the reason was because the other one was the super's apartment. It has been lately, but it seems that that's what they wanted, a storefront and a super's apartment. Here's the building with the original storefront on the right, but now it's very altered. I mean, it doesn't look like what was there in 1911. It's unusual because when you did have storefronts, normally you had one on each side of the doorway. These are just more close-up photos of each one, the storefront and the wall on the facade on the left-hand side. I want to say about this one is the left-hand side one is not highly decorated, but we're keeping as much as possible, original material as possible, which you'll see later. This gives you an idea of what West 10th Street is like. It's between a very commercial Bleecker Street and West 4th. So the storefronts spill over onto West 10th Street on both sides, from West 4th and I'm from Bleecker Street. Here are the buildings in 1940 with the storefronts in place. And just to say again, the 208 has a storefront, and that's next to the building on Bleecker Street, which has a storefront. But 204, which is even further away from Bleecker, also has a storefront. So the storefronts continue quite a bit down the block. This just shows you, these are two atlas maps, and it shows you that the store was there. There's on these atlas maps, they give you a little S for store, and in both buildings, there's a little S on the one side, the west side. Here's our proposal. I'm sorry. It's a wood storefront reflecting a typical village storefront and also reflecting the existing storefront on the right. We've retained the stone cornice and the bottom stone band, as well as the brick around the existing left side door and the existing stone band. The goal was to save as much existing material as possible while still having a storefront and also kind of echoing the one to the right. The one on the right has had a lot of alterations over the years, including the infill, the cornice, and the door details. So they've actually there have been a lot of alterations to the ground floor already. Here's a context existing and proposed, showing the wall and then the two storefronts. Here's a close-up existing and a close-up proposed. We're trying to make as much as possible retain kind of the look of the proportions of the existing storefront. Here's the existing and proposed plan of the building. And here's I'm sorry, I can look right here, can't I? This is the existing and the proposed blow-up plan. And this is the proposed section. The commission has approved new storefront openings in certain cases. You recently saw an approved 817 Washington Street in the Meatpacking District. This is 41 Greenwich Avenue, existing and proposed, where a storefront opening was approved. Here's 809 Madison, where a storefront opening was approved on the front facade, the facade where the entrance is. There was also, in this case, a storefront on the other side of the entrance. Stores on the ground floors of later 19th and early 20th century buildings were pretty common on streets that were commercial or had commercial components, like West 10th Street. Most of these had stores there by at least 1940 and were likely there originally. Here are 121 Perry and 228 to 30 West 4th Street. So these are similar buildings that historically had storefronts. Here are West 10th Street buildings with full ground floor storefronts, 138 and 240 and 242. West 10th Street, even not just on our block, is a sort of more commercial, not a commercial street, but a more commercial street, semi-commercial. Another West 10th Street building, 236 plus 77 Perry Street. And that's our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, do we have any questions? Okay. Oh, Commissioner Mahan?
Sorry, I'm unclear if the portion to the right hand of the central entrance is a part of the landmark designation or a part of what we're reviewing.
It's not what, it's only the left that is being reviewed today. The right is existing.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Commissioner Wilder?
Yeah, just a quick comment. I think the proposed storefront, the image is different from the actual elevation.
Oh, often it's so hard, right, to get the renderings exactly right. So, and certainly that has been my experience. So this is always go to the elevation for, to really get the details. This one, or if you would prefer the bigger one.
I think the bigger one is the one that's incorrect, assuming the image, the picture is correct. Yeah, I don't see that second door, the two doors that are next to each other. The one on the right is not shown in the picture.
Rendering has only one entry.
That could be incorrect.
Yeah.
We could go back to the photos. Oh, no, that door on the far right is the basement door. Okay.
Elevation
I don't-
shows two doors next.
Okay.
I think
Then
it's just thrown-
as if the elevation is going to be the correct one. Right now, it's got one of those things in front of it, like a canvas vestibule. I can't go to the photos to show you, but yes, the elevation would be the correct one. Also, that one is not, just by the way, nothing's happening to that one. That's staying the same. It's existing, but apologies.
Okay, thank you. I think we have somebody signed up for testimony, John Graham from the Victorian Society.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. John Graham for the Victorian Society. The photograph you just looked at cut off a slice of the right-hand side of the building. If you look at the photograph again, you'll see there's 3 windows on the second floor and a section of masonry on the left side. The section of masonry got cut off on the right side. Anyway, good afternoon, Commissioners. John Graham for the Victorian Society in New York. The applicant has provided a, sorry, wrong one. Still the same person, but we object to the proposed changes to 208 West 10th Street. This proposal would alter the original ground floor facade of the building and change the curb view from a historical apartment frontage to a commercial storefront. We view the destruction of so much historic material as inappropriate and unnecessary. If a storefront is indeed needed, it could be done by lowering the sill of one of the windows to create a door. The other windows could be modified within the existing openings to create small show windows, or they could be lowered as well. It would also be best to have a center door with a show window on each side. Having a new door to the store right next to the residential entrance doesn't work well visually. Also, it isn't necessary to drop the windows below the existing stone base of the building, which can be left as is, except at the door. As the ground floor wasn't originally symmetrical, there's no reason for a new storefront to try to match the existing one. Ultimately, if there's a practical reason for this change, then there are certainly ways to do it which preserve more historic material and honor the original historic residential ground floor facade. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Noting that there is no one else in the room to speak on this item, I'm going to turn it over to Stephen Thompson.
Those joining us via Zoom who wish to offer testimony, please use the raise hand function. Our first speaker will be Kaylee Johnson.
Hello, Commissioners. Kaylee Johnson with the Historic Districts Council. HDC finds the proposed alteration from residential to storefront to be conceptually appropriate, but we do find the residential door being directly adjacent to the storefront door to be awkward. This would be more appropriate as a tripartite that allows for the proposed storefront to be more symmetrical to the existing storefront. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other members of the public on our Zoom, I will note for the record that Manhattan Community Board 2 recommends denial.
Thank you. Would you like to respond to the comments?
Yes, thank you. Uh, What we're proposing, right now, there's on West 10th, well, where to start? Two storefronts flanking an entrance when there is a ground floor commercial on buildings of this period is more common. Yes, this was the historic condition. The historic condition has changed and that West 10th has gotten even more commercial. The kind of sister building next door now has a storefront on both sides. It's just that the storefront on the other side is a basement one rather than a ground floor one. So we're keeping a good deal of the historic fabric and not removing very decorative material. And we're staying within the, how do you say, the typology of an early 20th century apartment or tenement that's on a relatively commercial street. For that reason, we do think it's appropriate. Thank you, and hope you do too. Thank you.
Thank you. Any final questions, commissioners? Okay, let's move to close the hearing. Commissioner Chu, would you make a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Commissioner Kume, would you second that?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the hearing is closed. Corey, did you want to?
Well, I do think the applicant's done a very good job kind of giving, the history of this building and background on sort of the existing context along West 10th Street here in terms of its commercial nature historically and how that's evolved and even grown over time. And also pointed out that this is quite unusual to have sort of an unbalanced base with, storefronts on one side and then the residential windows and a door on the other. So I think in reality, we don't have a lot of similar commission reviews and proposals of just this exact situation. But again, as has been noted, there are other examples when the commission has reviewed changes because the needs of the owner or, just the kind of the prevalent use of the street has changed that, applicants have come and asked for modifications to varying degrees. And you've been shown examples where there were either blind windows or small windows on street levels of facades that were then enlarged to some extent in order to introduce commercial windows. So in that sense, it's not unusual, although again, we don't see these every day, nor do we see this exact type of building every day. So I'll leave it at that, but interesting building.
Thank you. Commissioner Goldblum, would you like to start this discussion?
Sure. So this reminds me of a project that we saw recently, which was Gansevoort Historic District, if I'm not mistaken, a corner storefront building where they wanted to expand the storefront. And it had really the same issues similar issues of a more opaque facade that they wanted to turn into a storefront. And there we asked them to retain additional historic material. I think that for me, sets a pattern that should be followed here as well. I think that specifically the windows can be dropped down. I think that the two center windows could be combined to be a storefront window. I think that the design that they came up with is perfectly lovely, but I do think that the matter of historic material should be considered. I don't think that symmetry or matching between two buildings that don't really match is such an important thing. But I do think that we should try to preserve more material.
Thank you. Commissioner Chu?
I think in general, I agree with Michael's comment, if that's possible, and this change of use and trying to get more visibility is desire for this retail space. My issue is just slightly unclarity in terms of what design is being proposed. The documents weren't quite matching, and proportions actually matter, and it's hard to tell what the drawing is. When I look at the left half, I do see a lot of pieces that don't exist on the right. If the intent is to try to keep some consistency, drawing undue attention to itself in areas like the top might just be simpler.
Yeah, I just want, this building is further interesting because the storefront on the right, you can see it has its own maybe applied metal cornice, and it's above the level of the lower stone band on the side on the left. So just to be clear, in case that was confusing in terms of the intent, they are cutting into the lowest stone band on the left side where the storefront is, so that the storefront opening aligns with where it is on the right. But even as it exists, and I guess originally, a different treatment of that entablature on both sides. Yeah, just to
Will
be clear.
be a different treatment.
It really can't match because they're different materials.
Different.
Yeah.
One of them looks like it's wood and the other one is masonry. So to that point, I do think that, again, I guess my point is it's not really clear to me that there's not any details here, and it's hard to understand exactly what profiles are being proposed. I don't like the fact that it's being cut into the masonry there. They could look at a version that was started lower. I just think that it needs a little work, this elevation.
So bring it back.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Kumbe?
I'm in agreement with what was said by my fellow commissioners. I believe that a little more thought into how we cut into the existing facade and what we're really going to present. I understand that this is a want or an ask, but I would like to see it be and to get
Okay, Commissioner Wilder?
Yeah, I think I agree with previous commissioners' comments. It, the existing building, there's clearly two different things going on. And I think the proposed design doesn't necessarily justify the modifications that are done to the existing building. It feels like it's trying to match the other side, but I don't think it hit enough points to kind of make it feel like one facade. So I think there should be just more work in terms of embracing the uniqueness of the left side. And I think, yes, you should be able to create more visibility within that space, but maybe trying to match the other side is not the way to go about doing it.
Thank you. Commissioner Ginsburg?
So first I want to say that in no way do I want to prevent the conversion to commercial use. And I think there are two answers to the solution. One, what Commissioner Goldblum suggested of keeping more of the masonry. The other, as I understand it from what Commissioner True suggested, with just a more intentional design that maybe doesn't mimic as much the other side, but may be more open. And I could be open to either of those solutions, but I think there just needs to be some more work to come back with whichever makes more sense for the applicant.
Commissioner Chen?
Not to confuse the matter any further, so I would wait to see what you come back with.
Okay, and then Commissioner Mahan?
Yeah, I'm in no way conceptually opposed to having a storefront here, and I even don't think you necessarily need to keep a lot more existing fabric. I think it's more, for me, an issue of intentionality. I thought that was a good word used earlier about its relationship to the stone cornice above and relationship to the storefront on the opposing side. The lack of clarity of the documents also makes it quite difficult to evaluate and calls sort of the intentionality into question. I note that the photo presented as an existing condition is if you look at it closely, it's clearly been photoshopped and altered and sort of has elements moved around. So that may or may not be the cause of the lack of alignment with the drawings. So I don't find it approvable in its current state.
Okay, thank you. I think that we don't have the votes to take action on this, so this will be no action, and maybe you can consider some of the commissioners' comments, and we'll welcome you back next time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, this concludes the public hearing and public meeting for today, September 9th, 2025. Thank you for your participation, and we will see you here next week, September 16th, for our next public hearing.